Okay, as you can see, I have taken the boat off of the cradle and I've laid it up on its side 90 degrees, and this is the orientation that I'm going to paint the cockpit. The main reason I'm going to do it this way is to prevent dust from landing in my paint. Because most of my surfaces will be vertical, I don't have to worry about as much dust landing in the paint. And the other big reason why I'm doing it this way is because with the boat on its side, I can stand here and reach everywhere in the cockpit without having to lean over and step in potentially wet paint, and I don't have to worry about so much sweat dripping in my paint or dropping, you know, something I might be holding in the paint. And so I have much better accessibility. And I've given all my surfaces their coats of epoxy. There's just a few little fillets and corners that are left to be sanded to be prepped for painting. And I'm not going to be priming the cockpit. I'm going to just roll in my 2-part polyurethane, and then I'll do 2, maybe 3 coats, rolling and tipping, and then I'll come back after that's dried a day and I'll tape off the sole for my non-skid. We'll be putting non-skid in these 4 sole compartments. Okay, before I can start painting, I've got to finish sanding in the cockpit, and I've got a lot of little details here that got their final coats of epoxy but haven't been sanded yet. So the first thing I've got to do is hit all these little spots where there's still glossy epoxy, including all of my fillets and my outside radii on these seat tops, and some of these other little details like the centerboard pivot pin block. And I've also got a few little drips of epoxy. There's a little drip down there on the keel batten. And also I've got some splatter. This is on the seat top, left over from when I coated the side decks. I got a little epoxy splatter there, so I'm gonna just sand that up by hand. So anyway, this is gonna take me the rest of today, and hopefully I can get everything sanded and filled in, and we can get the first coat of paint on tomorrow. Okay, I'm done painting the cockpit. I've got 3 coats of Duveau Devthane 379. It's a 2-part polyurethane, and I rolled and tipped it into the cockpit. I probably tipped the boat up on its side a dozen times in the process of painting the cockpit, just to gain better access to all the vertical and horizontal surfaces, and it came out pretty well. I've got a little bit of texture in the paint, but that's okay. It's just the cockpit. You can kind of see that texture I'm talking about right there.
So when we do the hull, we'll use primer and we'll be spraying it. We won't get that texture, but
that's what I got. Here's a look at the paint that I was using. It's Devo Devthane 379, and there's the catalyst. It's a 4-to-1 mix ratio. This is the white base, and this is a clear catalyst. When I painted the cockpit, I started out using these cut-in-half yellow 1/8" foam rollers, and the one problem with those is they won't get into any of the corners or the fillets. So when you come in here to a corner, you have to roll up near the corner, and you have to come back with a brush and actually brush the paint into the corner. I like these for putting on fiberglass and epoxy, but I found these to work better for in the cockpit. These I got at Ace Hardware, pretty cheap, and these have the advantage of being able to roll all the way up into the corner, and you don't have to come back in with a paintbrush. And so I did most of the painting of this cockpit with these rollers, and